Working hard so that it wasn't that way for Malia. Her sister deserved better, and Piper was determined she'd get it. She owed that to her brother. Joe waited until she passed through the threshold, and then slammed the door so loud it rattled the thin wall. He pulled his pants up over his swollen midsection as he squared off in front of her. "I just had to buy that table a round of drinks." He jabbed a fat sausage finger in her direction. The thick diamond band wrapped around that finger seemed to wink and jeer at her. It had to have cost a fortune he made off the exploitation of women. "That's coming out of your pay." She inhaled sharply, mentally calculating the cost of a round of drinks. "That's not fair, Joe." "You've used up all my goodwill, Piper. I only hired you because I thought you might change your mind and decide to dance." He looked her up and down appraisingly. "You got what it takes. You're small. Barely got any tits, but you're pretty, and lots of guys are into spinners. You could do a great Catholic schoolgirl." "Ew!" She held up a hand. "Stop right there. I've already told you I'm not dancing. Besides, you need waitresses. You can barely serve all the tables you got." She motioned behind her, indicating the room on the other side of the bar. "All the girls are too busy taking private dances." "Because that's where the money is, sweetheart. If you want to bring home the green, then you need to do the same." Yes. She knew that, but she was trying to cling to what dignity she had left. It was one thing to waitress at Joe's cabaret, and another thing to take to the stage or slink back into a private room for a lap dance. She knew more than lap dancing went on in those rooms. She worked at Joe's for a little over a year, and she'd seen enough to know how it worked here. It always started with dancing, but then that led to other things. She couldn't bring herself to take her clothes off for money. She continued to apply for other jobs where she could earn what she did at Joe's, but no luck. Sweet Hill was a small town, and the name Walsh was no good in these parts. Her job before this had been as a cashier at Brothers' Pantry. She'd worked there for almost 2 years when money went missing from the cash register. Of course, Rick, the manager, told her he'd overlook it and she could keep her job if she gave him a hand job in one of the storage closets. Never mind the fact that she didn't take the money. He was convinced she had. She was a Walsh, after all. After she told him to go screw himself, he'd fired her. Without a proper reference, the only other job she could land after that was Joe's cabaret. She couldn't lose this job, too. For no other reason did she bite her tongue and forget about her dock and pay. She adopted a conciliatory tone. "I'm sorry, Joe. You need me. You know that. I get the drinks out fast and free up the girls so they can work the stage in private rooms." "I can get other waitresses to do that," he grumbled, his gaze flitting over her. "Ones who aren't nearly as pretty as you. We could make a lot of money together, Piper. Customers ask about you." Just then her phone started ringing in her back pocket. Joe paused and scowled at her. She forced herself to ignore it, resisting the urge to peek and reassure herself it wasn't her sister calling. Joe forbade phones at work, but because Malia stayed home alone while she worked, Piper hid it in her pocket. She nodded as Joe kept talking, pretending to listen as her phone went silent. Less than 5 seconds later, it started ringing again. She dove for it, this time unable to ignore it. "Sorry, Joe," she said, glancing down as she pulled her phone from her pocket, her stomach sinking at the name on the screen. "It's my little sister. I have to take it." His face glowered, but she answered it, her fingers clutching the phone tightly as she spoke. "Malia, everything okay?" "Piper, I've been trying to get a hold of you forever." Damn. She had missed her earlier calls. She must not have switched the phone to vibrate, and the music must have been too loud on the floor. Her sister's voice trembled as she continued. "I need you to come and get me." "Where are you? You're supposed to be at home doing your homework." Or, given the hour, asleep in bed. I went out with some friends." Piper temporarily ignored the fact that her sister didn't have permission to go anywhere, instead seeking reassurance that her sister was safe. "Are you okay?" she asked anxiously. "Yes, I'm fine. We're all fine. We're just walking around, doing nothing, and this cop picked us up and brought us to the station. He said we shouldn't be walking the streets so late, and we had to call our parents to come and get us." Of course a group of 15-year-olds shouldn't be roaming the streets at midnight. That was just a recipe for trouble. Piper bowed her head and squeezed the bridge of her nose. Guilt stabbed at her. She should have been home looking after Malia instead of here. "And then how would you buy groceries? Or pay rent so they had a roof over their heads? To say nothing of Malia's soccer expenses, those aren't insignificant.